So this section, we're introducing you to two-column proofs. Okay, and for whatever reason, students always hear proofs and groan and think, my brother talked about proofs in geometry and it was terrible, and they're not bad, it's just a lot of writing, unfortunately. Okay, but the first part of this section, they went through all of these properties that you need to know. The first big table is all the properties of equality. Then it would include the reflexive property that just says A is equal to itself, B is equal to itself, angle B is equal to angle B. That is the reflexive property, and I know it sounds, well, yeah, I mean, obviously something's equal to itself, but you're actually going to be using that property in proofs, so it's an important property to know. The symmetric property is like the commutative property. You can switch them around, A equals B, then B equals A. Transitive, which law that we learned yesterday is similar to the transitive property? Law of syllogism. We had 3 laws yesterday: law of detachment, law of contrapositive, law of syllogism. Law of syllogism is most like the transitive property. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. That's the transitive property. Law of syllogism is very similar. Substitution property: if A equals B, then B can be used in place of A. Addition property: if I add something to one side of an equation and add it to the other, it's still an equation, it's still equal. Subtraction, same way. Multiplication, division. And then the distributive property: if I have A times B plus C, I can distribute it in to get AB plus AC. Okay? And then there were 3 different congruence properties. So if the reflexive property of congruence, segment AB is congruent to itself. The symmetric property, if segment CD is congruent to AB, then AB is congruent to CD. And then the transitive property, again, if AB is congruent to CD, CD to EF, then AB is to EF. Okay? So those are all properties you're going to be using in proofs. One of the videos, well, we'll just do this problem. 2 times 3x minus 4 plus 11 equals x minus 27. So they want us to prove this. Normally in algebra, this was just we were asked to solve for x, right? Now they want us to actually make this a proof and justify each step, which is what we do with proofs. Proofs, 2-column proofs, we have something on the left, and we have the reason on the right. So this is our, I can't remember what they call it. Let me go to proofs here. Statement. So what's the first thing you would do to solve this equation? Distribute, right? To get 6x minus 8 plus 11 equals x minus 27. The reason: distributive property of equality. Property of equality. Make your life a little easier and shorten things up. Okay, all I'm doing is what we've already done in Algebra 1, but now I'm justifying every step. That's what a proof is. Okay, so now I have this. What am I going to do now? Combine like terms. I don't know what they used for that reason. They just said the reason was combine like terms. It's pretty easy. Just justifying each step. What's next? Subtract 3. And I have to do it to both sides, right? To get 6x equals x minus 30. The reason is the subtraction property of equality. Same thing now, subtract x. 5x equals negative 30. Same thing, subtraction property of equality. And then finally divide by 5. X equals negative 6, and the reason is division property of equality. Your first two-column proof. Just a lot of writing. Didn't take you nearly that long to solve that problem in Algebra 1. But in geometry, to prove it, we have to state every reason. Okay? Looking at the next proof that they do, let's look at example 3. If the measurement of angle A plus the measurement of angle B is 100, and angle B is 40, prove that A is an acute angle. So we always write the given first. So all they did is they said the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B is 100, and the measure of angle B is 40. They gave that to us. And we're going to write given. That's our reason. Now, they said the measure of angle A plus 40 is 100. Why did they put 40 in for B? Well, they said here that B was 40. So the substitution property of equality lets me substitute 40 for B. So now I have the measure of angle A plus 40 is 100. Substitution property of equality. Now I'm going to subtract 40 from both sides, subtraction property of equality, and I know that measurement of angle A is 60 degrees. Therefore, A is acute because the definition of an acute angle says that angles are less than 90. It's not hard. You have to justify every step. Okay. And this video introduces you to how to set up a two-column proof. Hopefully everybody's watching this and not just coming in and relying on 5 minutes of me talking to all of a sudden give you everything you need to do well in this section. Here's another two-column proof that they do in the textbook. So there's several examples here. If you're struggling with how to do these on the homework, you can go back and look at. Okay, let's look at the textbook check for this section. .4. Yeah. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C is an example of which property? Transitive. If A equals B, if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. That's the transitive property.
I thought you were reading number 2.
No. Number 2, if CD is congruent to AB and then AB is congruent to CD, that's symmetric. Question 3, if you're given that angle CAB is congruent to BAC, what reason could you give for the following statement? The measure of angle CAB is congruent to the measure of angle BAC. Definition of congruent angles. If two angles are congruent, you know the measures are the same. Question 4, according to the video, when creating a two-column proof, the information you have been given must be stated again in the proof itself. True. Always restate the given. And question 5, statements in a two-column proof that have the same reasons must be combined into one step. Doesn't have to be. It's totally up to you. It can be, but it's not wrong if it's not. So that's false. They don't have to be. Okay, I think in the big ideas, you're having to fill in, from a drop-down box, reasons for each step. So you're not physically having to write your own two-column proof at this point. You're given maybe a two-column proof with all the statements, and you have to fill in the reasons yourself. Or vice versa. You're given reasons, you fill in the statements. Okay, that is it. We can go ahead and get to work. 2-3 is due tonight.
Big idea. It said it was due last night.
Oh, it did?
2-4, so it's due tonight.
Okay, 2-4 will be due tomorrow night because I think because of the testing, I got behind today, so I can change the dates on this.